this Shannon Sharpe situation. I have a guest that's joined with me, and you can go ahead and introduce yourself to the show.
What up, though? BJ3 in the house.
What up, though? What up, though? Welcome to the show, BJ3. Yeah, we're gonna be talking about this Shannon Sharpe situation today. Before we get started, I need you guys to like, comment, subscribe, and share. There's been a difficult situation for Shannon Sharpe the last 2 days. We thought he was going to be taking some time off, but it came back some hours ago, maybe 8 hours ago, that from the big bosses that ESPN has fired Shannon Sharpe. You know what I
Mm,
mean? So BJ3, I don't know if you heard about everything that's been going on, with this whole Shannon Sharpe situation. If not, I'll pretty much I'll go ahead and just give you details. It was a situation where he was having a relationship with this 19-year-old that he met through OnlyFans. You know, um, and he was dating this young lady for basically like 2 years, 19, 21, like 2 years. Yeah, she's 22 now. So
dating her or
yeah, they was dating. They were dating,
or or
so there
or he
were
was just
public
picking her
pictures
up?
and everything of her. Yeah, so they were literally dating. You know,
Okay.
um, so I believe last week these allegations came out that and you also got audio, and well, not audio, you got well, yes, definitely audio
You got
on a
video?
lot of the things that was popping up that they were talking about. So basically, man, this is what happened, BJ3. You know, they were fucking around, having sex and shit like that. She put a video out basically saying that she had wanted him to put on a condom before he stuck it in her ass. What videos that I'm going to play, throughout this video that we're doing. But yeah, give me your thoughts and your opinion on what you think. Shannon Sharpe don't got himself into some hot water, man. He just blew $150 million deal, and this is when these sexual allegations came out. Once she found out that he was getting ready to get 150 million. But let me say this before you give your input, BJ3. He offered her 10 million to hush it up and not to come
Just shut
out.
up.
She turned it down once she knew he was getting ready to get that 150 million.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well, man, that's crazy.
yeah,
So my opinion, my opinion. It's like it's a different era. You know what I'm saying? It's like you can't be all the way vulnerable um, because it's a chance that you get taped, especially if you got some bread. Especially if you got some bread. So
right.
you know you got to be careful what you say, man. It's crazy. So he got fired. Yet
Yeah,
TV they don't mess around. I mean, the one dude got fired for they was on commercial break. He stood up and adjusted his joint in his pants, and they fired him. I said, "Dang." So
and
yeah,
this was
they don't
who?
mess around.
This was who?
Um, I had to look it up, but it was one of it was the commentator. He was a commentator on NFL, and I think he used to be a Chicago Bears player, and he stood up and adjusted himself, and the camera was still on, but they was on commercial, and
Right.
Dick Buckus, no, not Dick Buckus. I don't know. I
Sorry
had to
about
look
the
it up.
delay that we just had. I had to adjust my
Sit
phone,
down,
so you
sit down.
guys should be able to hear me and see me a lot better. But go ahead, BJ3. Finish off where you were. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you good. So yeah. Anyway, just TV. They real particular. You got to pretty much stay pretty clean. And she tarnished his record. That's messed up. It's messed up.
Man, but this is a fucked up situation. So really, what happened, man, is you had the lawyer. This young lady went out. Uh, the same lawyer that put allegations out against Jay Z. This was the same lawyer that were taking up cases in the Puff Diddy trial cases, and his name is Bigsby. Tony Bigsby, I believe, is the lawyer's name. The same lawyer that, like I said, Jay-Z had to pretty much had to go hire his lawyers, and they had to go after him, because this was the same lawyer that was coming after him. So they end up dismissing that case. So, and Shannon Sharpe had a press conference about this that he dropped the other day, basically saying that Tony Bigsby is an attorney that pretty much goes after black athletes, and trying to ruin them, and trying to ruin their career, to say, you know what I mean? So but he came back. The lawyer actually came back and made comments saying it's not him who's actually suing Shannon Sharpe, it's the female. You know what I mean? So it's a
Right,
lot of pressure
right.
going on Shannon Sharpe, man. Like I said, he just blew $150 million contract with ESPN. So give me your thoughts on that, man. How can he come back from that, BJ3?
I mean, I think he'll be fine. He'll get the bag. His show is doing fine. I didn't know anything about this until you brought it up, and I had just literally uh, the last thing that I watched on Instagram was Shannon Sharp and Bud Crawford.
Oh
So
wow.
I didn't even know nothing about this at all.
Yeah, man, it's deep. You know what I mean? Like I said, I have a few audio and a few videos that I wanted to play. That I was going to do when I was going to do on my setup, but I can't show it because I'm actually doing this through. Yeah, man. In my title, and I put it's been a lot of backstabbing from his ESPN colleagues, man. It's been a
What?
lot of rumors that Shaq put out the word that if anybody had dirt on Shannon Sharpe, that he would be willing to pay a lot of money to get this information out, man. So he had a lot of his own people hating on him, bro. And that's crazy. I couldn't believe Shaq would do some shit like that. You
That's
know,
whack.
um,
That's weak.
yeah, and I don't know what they beef. I will have to go and look that up. But Shaq and Shannon Sharpe had some beef a few years ago, so that's stemming from that. Man, he got a lot of people. Like I said, that wanting to see him to get that $150 million deal, and Shaq was one of those people. So,
That's messed
elaborate
up.
on that, man. He had his own ESPN colleagues and people's hating on him.
Yeah, that's sad, man. That you know, that's a kick you while you're down type of move right there. He just got fired, so now you're trying to put it out there. If anybody got any dirt on anybody, uh, and put money out for it, then it's a chance it's gonna come up, and everybody probably got some kind of something on something.
Yeah,
You
and a
know what
lot
I'm
of
saying? It's
shit been
like,
coming
damn, why
out,
would you
man.
do that?
So
Cameras everywhere. Everybody got cameras. Anything happen, it's being recorded. So
right. And I'm not gonna say Shannon Sharpe is innocent. We know this is a shakedown, from the video that the young lady put out, for how the whole situation is going down. I don't personally myself think Shannon Sharpe is guilty of what she's accusing him of, but in the public eye, it looks guilty. He looks guilty, I should say, because he was trying to offer this young lady 10 million just to hush it up and keep quiet. And I understand that. You're a busy man. You don't want this shit to come out. You want to keep it up under public wraps. Yeah, up under the wrap. You don't want anybody finding out about it. So, pay her a couple of dollars, but $10 million. So she looked at that like, if you willing to pay me 10, let's go for the 50.
yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah.
That's what happened. That's exactly what happened. It's
Yeah. So
like
so
he
pretty
he
much,
wa-
man, he dug his own stuff for ditch. So go ahead,
yeah,
BJ3.
he wanted he trying to he gave her a great offer just to shut the fuck up.
Right.
That was that offer. Like, here,
Yeah.
take
And
this.
he was stupid as fuck by not taking the 10 million. Why wouldn't you not take the 10 million, especially if you were gonna
10 million.
come out and go public? You know what I mean?
Yeah, the 10 million was probably definitely has some clauses for her to be quiet and not
Yeah,
talk about it.
and his lawyer Tony Bigsby, he got to be stupid as fuck for not even jumping on that. You know what I
And
mean?
then
So he
he could
probably
have he
was the
could have
person
said
who
20.
told her.
He could have said
Yeah.
20, and he probably would have paid it.
So now they don't turn tables and doing the whole Jay Z thing and saying they not paying you shit. Now he's
Right.
filing what do you call that? False allegations on them. It's not that's not the exact term, but basically
Yeah.
he's countersuing them.
Right.
You know what I mean? So look, we got a few people watching. I need for you guys to like, comment, subscribe, and share. The chat is open. I want you guys to chat with me. What do you guys think about this situation? Do you think Shannon Sharpe dug his own ditch, or do you think ESPN, was wrong and should have let this played out, in a court of law? Before they fire Shannon Sharpe. You know what I mean? So they probably looked at it like this, BJ3, like fuck it, we're gonna go in here and fire the nigga before we pay him this 150 mil, because at the end of the
Yeah.
day, man,
It's the way to
you
get
got to
out the
put some type
contract.
of blame on Shannon Sharpe. I don't think he's guilty of sexually assaulting this young woman, because you can clearly from the conversations that she had when she taped him over the phone, you can tell that she was kind of setting
Uh,
him up in the conversation. You know what I
right.
mean?
She was getting evidence.
Yeah, so she
She
was
knew what she
put
was doing. She was putting it
exactly.
together.
Right.
Right.
So yeah,
Right.
like I said, I want you guys to let me know what you think. Do you think Shannon is wrong? Do you think Shannon kind of set himself up for that shit? Because you kind of know BJ3 when you on the phone with somebody, and they trying to set you up.
Questions.
You know what I mean?
Certain questions you can't ask too many questions in on the same topic.
Yeah.
What you doing? What you doing? What's happening here?
Right, and then on where she got him from, she was like, "Yeah, Shannon, when you stuck your cock in me without a rubber on, I didn't like that, and no means no." And he was like, "What do you mean?" I'd have hung up
Right.
on her ass right. The fuck you mean no means no? You know what I mean?
Yeah, she said no
So
means
yeah,
no.
he should have like what the fuck, he should have I would have been questioning her on that, like fuck you mean. You know what I
Right.
mean?
It's
So,
the same thing.
but she's this type of white girl that loves. I don't know, what do you call? It's a terminology for, like, she likes aggressive sex. She likes for
Right.
Shannon to choke her out and say crazy shit. You know what? It was like I forget the name of the, what do you call that terminology for people like that? But this is the type of woman she was. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, man. And what's so crazy? Monique told him when he was on the Cat Williams show. She told him, she was like, Shannon, you need to leave these young girls alone. You need to get with your older great woman that's gonna rub your feet, have you some neck bones and some collard greens, and he ain't want no parts of that. She tried to warn him. Yeah, and all this shit came out. Like I said, in my next video we do, I'll probably play that, and play a little bit of the shit that got him caught up. So right now we just discussing what's been going on. But yeah, my question to you is, do you think ESPN should have departed ways with him, BJ3?
You know,
These were just allegations.
it all depends on you know who making the decision and the way they looking at it. Like you said, we ain't got to pay him 150 million. That's the way to get out of that. And if if you got this type of publicity, then that's not a good thing for us. So, I ain't I you know
Hey, look, it
if he
looks like
if he
you're
can come back,
it looked like you lagging, BJ3. You might have to turn your Wi-Fi off because you got a lot of lag in your
well,
video.
I hear you loud.
There's your Wi-Fi. I had to turn mine off because for
All
some
right,
reason,
so I say that they had to do what they. I mean, it's understandable that he got fired. Uh,
right.
for me, you know what I'm saying. Now, if he get cleared, And could he come back? Yeah, why not? You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't think that it would be an issue for him to come back, go back if he wanted to. If he wanted to.
See, but I
But
don't
this,
think it works like that. I think once they fire you, there's no coming back.
you know, he
'Cause I
get
think they did the
rehired.
same. I think they did the same thing with Michael Irvin. Remember, he got caught up in some type of allegations during the Super Bowl a few years ago, and he got fired from the NFL Network, and I don't think he got his job back. So but yeah, like I was saying, BJ, in the title,
Yeah,
he got a lot of hate from his colleagues. Man, Shaq
that's
was
crazy.
paying money
What?
to people who had dirt on Shannon Sharpe
Hey,
to be able to put it out there.
that's that's a kick a man when he down situation right there.
Yeah.
Why would you do that? Why would
And
you
that's
do that?
fucked up. I can't
Because
believe Shaq would do
if
something like that
anybody put
if that's true.
if anybody put money on anybody to get dirt on anybody, it'd be something there. It'd be something there on everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So it's
so
like,
like
why would you do that? It's
yeah,
gonna be something.
and that was all stemming from some type of beef that him and Shannon Sharp had a few years ago. So that probably played a lot into his firing too. Um, by him being fired. But yeah, like I said, at the end of the day, you can't really blame nobody but Shannon Sharp. He put himself in that situation. He went around and
Same girls.
and there's
Same
nothing,
girls.
hey, look, date what you like, who you like, date who you date, but at the end of the day, it's a pattern, with these athletes and these women. At the end of the day, it's like, I mean, he should have known a 19-year-old girl, what do you have in common with this young woman? Pretty much nothing. So at the end of the day, she was just looking at him like an ATM.
All day.
Yeah. So like I said, it's a few people here watching. I need to know what you guys think about that. Was ESPN wrong for firing Shannon Sharp? Should they have let this situation played out? Because like I said, BJ3, at the end of the day, I don't believe he sexually assaulted this young woman. The only thing that I think he's guilty of is just being an idiot and a jackass. You know what I mean? And allowing himself to be manipulated by this young woman, because that's what happened, man. He allowed this young lady to manipulate him, um, and to now he's getting ready to lose $150 million contract. So yeah, I need for you guys to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Did Shannon Sharp fuck up? By dealing with this young woman. This.
I think he'd be all right with his show. You know, like I said, he was on when I saw him last couple minutes before you called. It was him and Bud in the ring playing around, him getting lessons. So I
Yeah, see, but
think
bro,
he'd be fine.
you know how old that probably was though, BJ3.
I don't. I don't.
Yeah, that's probably been a while, man, because this been going on since the beginning of the week. So I don't think he's been doing anything,
Right.
but just trying to get this ahead of this situation. But yeah,
Right.
man, I think at the end of the day, what really hurt Shannon
Super
Sharp and
surprised.
why he was fired and what made him look almost guilty, before a lot of the tape started coming out, is $1 million. I would look, if you know that why would you try to? And I understood why he tried to do it, but you don't offer
Yeah.
this bitch no $10 million. You know what I mean? You
Man,
give her you offer her some bullshit to shut the fuck up.
well, and that's why she went public because she
See,
didn't
and
think that 10 million was enough.
you're right. And see, and I'm gonna keep it real with you. Where he really fucked up at, he originally tried to get her to sign a I forget the I think it's
NBA.
yeah, MBA. She would not sign it. So if she wouldn't
Well,
sign that MDA, I'm done. I'm not fucking with you. Especially if I'm a millionaire and
yeah,
I'm someone who's not a millionaire or who's not getting money and they don't want to sign this MDA, that lets just off from Jump Street, what they're on.
yeah.
So I don't I don't feel guilty. I don't feel sympathy for Shannon Sharpe. He dug his own ditch in this situation. Because like I said in the beginning, he came to her with this MDA to sign, but she turned it down, and he
That,
still continued to fuck with this 19-year-old woman.
yeah, that kind of that's a red flag. That let
Off
me know.
top.
That let me know something.
Yeah, hey, he played in the snow and got burnt. And at the end of the day, you like who you like. I don't have a problem with, you know, um, the color of the young one. It just seemed like a lot of and men have been getting, you know, just done wrong, you know, um, by a certain group, and just by a certain group of women, at the day, and don't get me wrong, it's not just one race of women that's doing that. These athletes, they got to do a better job at picking and choosing. And that look, you got to
Right.
worth millions of dollars. You can't just be fucking around with the work, because that's what she with the help, because that's what she was at the end of the day. She was not on his level. He allowed this young 19-year-old woman manipulate him, and now he fucked up $150 million deal.
And whatever he got to pay her, and we know it's gonna be more than 10 million.
Well,
See that?
I mean, see, and when what's so crazy, I don't think he's at the end of the day, BJ3. If she continues to go through this with this lawsuit, I don't think she's going to get a dime.
Oh, you think he gonna win?
Yeah,
Okay.
he's going to win because listen, he didn't do nothing wrong in my eyes. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
Everything he did was consensual.
Right.
This young woman, he just allowed this young woman, she pulled the wool over his eyes. So he allowed this young woman to come in and manipulate him to the point where he lost all his sense of thought. Yeah. By not letting her sign this MDA.
19-year old drove
Say
him
that
nuts.
again, BJ3.
Say that 19-year-old
She put
drove
that
him
pussy
nuts.
on.
Right.
So and he and normally when you see Shannon Sharpe, he be doing them, they keep your dick hard and all that type of shit. So, yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
I want to see if he's still gonna be doing them commercials now.
Hey, that's how he was able to get with and keep up with that 19-year-old. He was taking them
Them
whatever them
roast
taxes
sparks,
you talk
yeah.
about.
Apparently so. And then she was saying shit like this, like, I want you to put a big black baby inside of me, shit like that.
Oh,
He had listen, Shannon Sharpe, really at the end of the day, he played himself, man. He should have recognized, you know, um,
he was having a good time
yeah, you
and
fuck, you go out there, fuck, have a good time, do what you gonna do, you know what I mean? But never allow yourself to get caught up where you got this bitch sitting up recording you, and she recorded this motherfucker while they was having sex. So it's actually a sex tape that's going to be coming out.
oh
Yeah,
no.
so fellas, yeah, like I said, we got to do a better job. Listen, when
Can't
when
go
you're worth
nowhere and bang
some type
nobody.
of money, you have to do a better job at protecting yourself and guarding your money, because it's these women's jobs. You got women out here that's looking for motherfuckers that's preying on people like Shannon Sharpe, and that's exactly what she did. She preyed on
Right.
him, and
Two
she
years.
won.
7 It's
Well,
a
right
big
now
play.
she's winning.
The long play. two
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
All
So
right. See
yeah,
you
like I
outside.
said, we got a few new to the channel.
Yes, we
Make
gotta
sure
wipe the
you
paws
hit that
off. You definitely
subscribe
been
button.
playing in the dirt.
Yeah, like I said, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button. But I want you guys to interact. Did Shannon Sharpe, did he play
No, no,
himself,
no.
over his $150 million contract? Or did ESPN jump the gun? Because like I said, BJ3, at the end of the day, if she do not, if she goes through with these allegations, I don't think they'll find him guilty on any sexual assault allegations. At the end of the day, she kind of fucked herself up with these videos because now what's going on? Shannon Sharpe, his lawyer, is asking for the edited.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So yeah, the chat lines is open. I need for you guys to interact. Let me know what you think about this whole Shannon Sharpe situation. Do
Mm,
you think
mm,
Shaq was fucked up? Shaq
messed
was
up.
one
Real
of the
messed up.
reasons too. Allegedly, he was putting up the word like if anyone had any dirt on Shannon Sharpe, to put it out, he was willing to pay a lot of money. So that's fucked up too. That you on colleagues,
Man, that's
um,
bad. That's terrible.
yeah, putting dirt on you out there like that.
You put a price on it. Put a price on
Yeah,
it.
yep.
That's messed
So
up. That's messed up. Real messed
yeah,
up.
so hopefully, the Shay Say show, the little show, his little podcast, will be able to hold him steady, until something else jump off. You know what I mean? Because like I said, he's made a name for himself after football, and he don't let this little bitch fuck his shit up.
He'll be fine.
Yeah. So like I said, I want you guys to interact with me. Let me know what you think about this situation. Do you think Shannon Sharpe played himself, or do you think these allegations are true? Do you think he sexually assaulted this woman, or what do you think? But yeah, man, it's just it's crazy, man. I can't believe that time in and time out that you have a lot of these stars and athletes are falling for the same old banana in the tailpipe. And that's what
That's exactly what's going on.
yeah. You,
Man
you
into
know,
it.
and it's crazy that he didn't see this shit coming from a mile away. She set him up like to the point where he should have saw this shit. Like when you're having a conversation with somebody over the phone, if a motherfucker setting you up by the questions you asking. So he
Right,
should have known
right,
that.
right,
Me, how to hung up
right,
on her so
right.
motherfucking quick. Yeah, So, but it's going to be more that's going to come out soon. Like I said, it's a sex tape that's probably going to getting ready to come out. But from what my understanding, the sex tape it's probably going to be edited. So that's why Shannon Sharpe had went on ahead and came out with his press conference and pretty much told the world that he pretty much told the world that it was a sex tape before they came out with the sex tape.
Right.
Yep. So. But yeah,
So
man, like
he did the
go ahead.
sex
So if you
tape.
got any more to add to it, BJ3, go ahead and add to that, and we'll go ahead and switch over to something else.
He was definitely in the trance. He did a sex tape with a what's it called? Fans only.
Yeah, he did a sex tape. Well, this girl, she was she had her OnlyFans. That's how he met the girl. Okay,
Right.
we just
So
had somebody made a comment.
somebody that does sex tapes or sex live videos.
Yeah, no, she worked.
He
She had her own OnlyFans.
okay. That's what I'm saying. Somebody
Right.
that put out videos or did lives for a living, and then you do a sex video, a sex.
You off camera too,
Thing.
BJ3.
Oh, I'm off.
Yeah, I can't see you.
There we go. And
Okay, there you go.
you do a sex tape and let her have the tape, then you asking for it because
Yeah.
she gonna put that out on the market to be sold.
Exactly. So apparently, this tape was recorded without his knowing. So that's one thing that's going to be against her. So you recorded him without him knowing.
Right.
More than likely, this tape is going to be edited. It's going to they probably edited the tape to make it look like he was in the wrong. But from the
Mhm.
conversations that they put out, you can tell that he was set up. But I have a few people that made a comment. You have missed second chance. Bro, he deserves to get fired. He works for Disney. They let him cook with the sex tape clip. You can follow that up with these allegations. I agree. He pretty much cooked his own self. Yolanda Musamba, Musamba said it was a
Because
setup. He should have protected himself from the start. I agree. So pretty much, everybody is pretty much recognizing that it was a setup. Pretty much, it was a shakedown. But Shannon Sharpe, he allowed himself to be manipulated. You know what I mean? So I don't know why he couldn't see that this young woman was trying to manipulate him and trying to get some money up out of him. Because, like I said in the beginning, they offered her. He offered. This is one thing that I want to talk about too, BJ3. I had made a short. I did a video when I first talked about this Shannon Sharpe. My thing is, do you think that his own lawyer, because I think if you're innocent, why would you offer this bitch $10 million? I
to
think his
shut
own
up.
lawyer offered that woman $10 million, and he probably told Shannon, "Go on ahead, Shannon, give her the 10 million." You know what I mean? So it won't hit the public, so we can hush everything up, and it'll just go away. So at the end of the day, um, I think these lawyers are shaking a lot of these athletes and stars down too.
I mean, they're getting paid too, but
Yeah.
$10 million is a lot
Why
of
would
money.
you say
Ten
that again,
million is
BJ3?
10 million is a lot, and it's basically saying, "Here, just be quiet. I'm
Right.
taking care of you for the rest of your life and generations. You just became. If you invest it right, holler at me. That's what you know. What I'm saying. Anyway, but yeah, if you do what you're supposed to, you can set the generations up for
The
years.
Loom Negro enlightened. He said he did it to himself. He needs to
Yep.
be accountable. Falling up, added a comment to another black man who would have been okay if he wasn't trying to get with a snow bunny. I agree, but my question to you guys is: a lot of this, a lot of this flat came back from Shaq too. What do you think about Shaq putting money out there to get dirt um, on Shannon Sharpe? So I need you guys to tell me about that. Comment and tell me about what do you think his ESPN colleagues had a lot to do with him being fired too. But like I said, at the end of the day, he dug his own ditch. People's thoughts and comments on a move that Shaq made. I thought that was a dirty and a low blow move that Shaq did, BJ3.
Super dirty, super low.
Yeah. Why would you do that to your brother? Which I understood that I just found out, some days ago that him and Shaq did have some type of beef, but I don't think Shannon Sharpe ever put or paid people for dirt about Shaq. You know what I mean? That was a low blow. So now it looks like they're trying to cancel Shannon Sharpe now too, BJ. So I wanted to talk to you about that. About his the shows that he do have. They're calling for his
And
cancellation.
cancellation of what? The Shay Shay?
The Saints say, yeah, they're calling for Shannon Sharpe to be canceled.
That's yeah. Somebody gonna pick him up because he's not gonna be found guilty.
I
I agree.
agree. I agree with that part. Okay, you have Illum Negro Enlighten, ain't no friends in Hollywood. I agree with you on that, but that still was a fucked up situation that Shaq did. If that's true, and those are allegations that and this came from what's the show? I think No Jumper. Matt Barnes put that out. And that's fucked up that you have your own people putting shit out about you to get you fired. Yep. So yeah,
That's the barrier.
sometimes you play in the snow and you get burned. And that's what happened to Shannon Sharpe. Like I said, at the end of the day, I don't have a problem with, you know, who he's dating or the color of who he was dating, but a lot of people is upset with him. He had a lot of chances to make things right with his baby mother. I don't know if you heard about the allegations about that.
What?
Yeah, man, Shannon Sharpe. It's a lot of stuff going on with Shannon Sharpe, man. Pretty much, I think he got into it with his baby mother, the one he has kids with. He kicked her out, made the called the police, kicked her out, put her out. I think he ended up putting his hands on her too. But the whole thing was they came to some type of agreement press charges and didn't he didn't have to go to jail, didn't have to do no time, and he was able to keep his job. So she looked out for him on that end. Pretty much is saying that he's getting what he's deserved, for fucking around with his white girl, from how he did his baby mother.
Hey
Okay,
man,
you had a Mad Dog Jack. Shannon Sharpe brought that on himself. Yeah, I agree with that. He brought a lot of this stuff onto himself. You know what I mean? And a lot of people was looking at the situation like he was wrong for dating a 19-year-old girl too. So tell me about that, BJ3. What do you think about that? Shannon Sharpe is I believe 55 years old. So when he met that girl, that was 2 years ago. He was 53. So a 53-year-old man dating, a 19-year-old woman, which he was legal, but
right?
he has kids that's older than her.
It don't matter. He was enjoying himself. He's a millionaire. He got them pills he be popping, so he can keep up with
Yeah,
a
well,
19 year
he
old.
definitely needed them pills
He
for
can
that
keep up with
19
it.
year old
He can keep
because
up
she
with
was
it.
wild and she did a lot of sexual sedatus type shit. I don't know the name for that, but she did a lot of freaky shit and he liked it that shit.
Yeah, he was having a good time. He just
Okay.
he ignored all of the red flags. There were plenty of red flags before it got to this point, and the 19-year-old had him mesmerized, and he couldn't make
Now,
decisions to save
right.
himself.
Now I like what Falling Up said. He said money made him think that he was a Teflon. Yeah, I agree. You know what I mean? Because he did, and that's a lot of people did not like Shannon Sharpe because he was an arrogant motherfucker. And I will say that he was very arrogant. So I agree with you, Falling Up. He did think he was Teflon. Illumined Negro, enlightened. He thought he was untouchable. Yeah, now he sees. Now he know he can be touched. You know what I mean? So he allowed this young 19-year-old. Well, she's 22 now. But he allowed this young woman to manipulate him. And now he just lost out on $150 million contract. I can't believe that, man. Time and time again, this should be a lesson learned. To young athletes and to young men coming up and just men in general. And I'm not going to even say athletes or men with money, just men in general. You have to we have to do a better job guarding, safeguarding our assets, which is our money from these women. You know what I mean? Because their goal is to get your money up out of you, and that's what exactly what she did.
She had a plan, she executed, and she is going through with it. She didn't think the
Yep.
10 million was enough. So if he
Yeah.
ended up getting, she could still file for civil.
And that's what's going on. She did not file a um what do you call she didn't file an assault case or a rape case or whatever like that. She just filed
Right.
a civil suit. So that just lets you know that she wanted the money. You know what I
Okay.
mean? But I it had to be her lawyer, Tony Bisbee. Listen, why wouldn't you take that 10 million and run? He's a stupid motherfucker unless he knows something we don't know. Because if you offer me $10 million and and she knew that she was setting him up, you know what I mean? So they allowed that contract that they thought that he was getting to fuck them up from getting $10 million is what happened.
Yeah, and then he 150 million is a lot of money, but out of the 150, after he finished with taxes, and then we look up, it's
Yeah,
over a state.
it might would have been like 120 or something like that, but it's still a
No,
lot of money. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
So
Looking at everything.
they the fuck themselves out of 10 million, thinking that I don't know what the fuck they was thinking.
I don't
Uh,
know.
you had no concrete evidence, besides that motherfucking tape. And even on that tape, you don't even have to be a lawyer or a judge to understand that it's a setup.
Yeah.
That was nothing more than a big U shakedown. That's all that was.
Hey. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. That's a good one because Silver was different.
I think what's going to happen now that I think they're going to try to be stupid and play it out and let it go to trial or go to court or whatever. You know what I mean? Meaning that they turned down the 10 million and now they're asking for 50 million. So they have to go for gusto. You got to go all the way now. So yeah,
They're acting with 50
JP said Becky undefeated. Yes, she is.
from decades ago.
Yeah.
This ain't a new situation.
Right. And that's what I don't understand. I don't understand why these athletes and stars fall for the same banana in the tailpipe shit. Look, if I'm rich and I'm gonna be fucking around with or anybody, I'm gonna have a
Listen,
videotape.
listen, listen,
You
listen.
listen, let me say this. I'm gonna have a videotape already set up when you come in there. You gonna see what's going on. You gonna know what's going on from the jump. And I'm gonna have that MDA. He fucked himself in the beginning, BJ3. Listen, when that bitch said that she wasn't gonna sign that MDA, I'd have been like, get the fuck out. You got to go.
It's a bunch of 19-year-olds.
Yeah.
If she not signing it, then you can't be a part of you can't be a part of the team.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, she didn't, and I'm quite sure she got some money up out of him between these 2 years.
Oh yeah,
Some thousands.
she got treated well.
Yes. Yeah.
She got some good
Because
gifts, I'm
man, what's
sure.
so great? Listen, she's not gonna win no money at all because she ended up moving from, I believe, from where she was staying, and she followed him to Las Vegas. So
Mm.
pretty much, it was a setup. It was a shakedown. You have Falling Up said, I hope he makes it through this. Maybe he'll go somewhere and sit down and think about it. Think about the stupid decisions he made. The lawyer, he's going to get paid too. I mean, yeah, but I don't think in this case they're going to get paid. Because like I said, it's clear and cut that it's a setup. You know what I mean? So I don't see how. Um,
To stop everything, they negotiating
I
right
mean, it's
now.
already out there though.
But
I mean, so
the sex tape, the
why would
sex
you
tape
give her
ain't out.
some money for some shit that's already out there?
The sex tape ain't out. You're like, look, stop this here. Take 20. Okay, that's the number we can find with 20. Give us 25. Here's 25. Shut up. Shut
Man,
everything down.
listen, at this point, nigga, you just lost $150 million contract. I'm not
Right.
giving you shit.
Right.
We're gonna have to take this shit to court.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he would be a fool to pay her a dime at this point. He don't lost out on 100. Listen, at this point, I'm looking for
Well,
her.
she if you don't shut her up now and the sex tapes come out, how much would you lose then?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, look, I need y'all to tell me that. Would you pay this bitch any more money, or would you take this all the way to court? Me personally, I wouldn't pay her a dime, BJ3, because look, how much more can she hurt him? He's already lost $150 million. Now they're trying to cancel him.
The
So
allegation,
there's nothing else to lose.
the allegation is one thing, a sex tape is another. It's a whole different ballgame.
No, okay. So what do you think? What do you think? Even if the sex tape comes out, because Shannon Sharpe even said it himself. He said, "Put the sex tape out." He said, "But don't put an unedited sex tape out." He said, "Put the whole tape out." So pretty much that tape is just going to show him fucking her willingly.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm just saying.
Because like I said, um, this woman, she was saying what she wanted him to do to her. Uh, So she wanted rough sex. She wanted him to choke fuck her and put dog collars around her neck and shit like that. You know what I mean? She wanted it in the ass.
Yeah, and she
Right.
was
That's what Marquise Jones said. I'm looking for her too. I will be looking for her ass too, Marquise. Or I'll be sending somebody to look for her ass. You know, but yeah, at the end of the day, what you so you said you would pay her more money, BJ3, just for the sex tapes not to come out.
I'm saying I'm not saying I would do nothing because I'm not. I wouldn't be in no situation because I'm happily married. But
Right. No,
I'm
I'm just
saying,
saying,
yeah,
yeah, if,
I'm saying, for him to
right, for
stop,
Shannon
to
Sharp.
stop, to stop another another hole getting poked in his revenue. Yeah, I give her the shut the fuck up money. What number will it take for you to shut up? Because when she put
Yeah.
them sex tapes out, it's gonna be more. It's gonna be other people that's gonna start dropping. If his Shay Shay show, whoever I don't know if a podcast, if they can shut you. I guess they can. They can say they don't want you on their platform. But if that come out and they don't like it, then they can start shutting that down. Now you just shut down both sides that he was getting money on TV. I'm sure you got other spots, but you don't want everything getting shut off. You
Yeah,
want
look, I'm
you
gonna
want to
say
stop
this,
some
man.
bleeding.
Shannon Sharp, he must have, besides this girl, this young woman, he must have pissed some other people off too, man. Because like I said, it's a lot of people. It's a lot of his colleagues that did not like him. They said he was very arrogant. Just like a few of the people that commented in the comments, even they even said that they thought he was arrogant. He thought he was a Teflon Don. And you can see it, from some of his shows, the way he talked, the way he carried himself. He had a little arrogance about himself, but is that a wrong thing? Because Michael Jordan had a lot of arrogance to himself,
Most guys at that
that
level
makes
do.
that makes for a lot of people not to like you too, when you have a lot of arrogance about yourself.
You got about you though.
Yeah, but my thing is, man, I just don't understand why our athletes fall for the same banana in the tailpipe. They get with these white women, and thinking everything is going to be all good. Like I said, I don't have any problems with, you know, what who anyone decides to date, but it just seems like a pattern. These athletes get with these white women, and they just take them to the bank every time. Yeah, to the bank
Yeah.
every time. Yeah, so BJ3, give me your last words on this. Let everybody know. Give me your last words and let everybody know what you got going on and where they can reach you.
Hey, um, um, he made some decisions, and he's gonna have to make some more because it's not all the way over. So I guess we're gonna have to see what happens and see how it plays out. Um, as far as me, I'm uh I'm in the blessing business. You can give me a call at 773-398-5658. Um, I can do a whole lot of things when it comes to financial planning, retirement planning, generational wealth, a lot of different things. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, and I'll give my last words, man. I just want to say, look, look, and this goes out to not just men with money. This goes out to all men. Men, we have to do a better job at protecting our ourselves and our assets. Because I'm not going to say, well, I will say this. It's these women's jobs to come out here to try to get your money, and that's exactly what's been going on. They're getting into your heads, they're getting into your pockets, putting you in fucked up situations. So at the end of the day, we have to do a better job at safeguarding ourselves and our assets and our money. So look, if you're new to the channel, I definitely need you to go hit that subscribe button. You know, and check out content. Check out the content that we got. And I want to say thank you to all the recent subscribers who subscribe to the channel. But yeah, we got to do a better job at like I said, safeguarding ourselves, safeguarding our money and our assets, because at the end of the day, um, we're losing.
Mm.
The man is losing in situations like that, so you got to do a better job at, like I said, just safeguarding yourself and your assets. So look, it's been another one. It's your boy Dame D, and I am out. Peace.
Peace.